All right, let's wrap up the last three problems in this set of notes. So example 3a says LQ and PN are perpendicular to each other. So we've got to read that notation to be really comfortable seeing that. Whenever I read notation like that, the first move I make is to go to start marking up my diagram. So I'm going to throw a little right angle marker in there so that we know the perpendicular gave us a right angle there. If I go to the next part, it says find K if LPN, so LPN, and I'm kind of tracing that out here, all right, is 2K plus 30. So I'm going to drop that on my diagram as well. Once you drop the information on the diagram, you can usually take a look at the diagram and it'll pretty much tell you what you need to do. So here I notice in this angle I have the 2K plus 30 and I also have the right angle marker. So as long as we know the right angle implies 90 degrees, we can say that means 90 equals the 2K plus 30, which is going to be 60 equals 2K as I start solving, or K equals 30. All right, now we always want to take a quick look back and make sure we're answering their question. They did say find K here, so we don't need to plug it back in. But do watch out, because a lot of times they'll ask you for the actual angle itself, in which case we need to plug it back in. That clearly wouldn't work in this one because we already know that the angle is 90 degrees. If I go to 3b, the next example, it says LPR, and right there I noticed that they didn't give me a diagram, but this last diagram is labeled accordingly, so I think this is mostly a setup and structure of the question, that this is leaning back on that diagram. So we're going to assume that to begin with, and then we'll adjust if we need to. So LPR, so this big angle here, all right, is 2y plus 30. All right, so that's the entire large angle there. RPQ is going to be y. All right, and it says find RPQ. So first thing I have to notice in this problem is I have to notice that these two angles are forming a linear pair. All right, so without the diagram, this would have been really a non-doable problem. But the diagram, we can see that L, P, and Q form a straight line, so we have a linear pair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the two angles together, 2y plus 30 plus y, and set that equal to 180. Because a linear pair implies supplementary, and supplementary implies they add to 180. So now we've got 3y plus 30 equals 180, 3y equals 150, y equals 50. All right. So I'm going to go back and check and make sure I'm answering the question, and this time it says find measure of angle RPQ. So we need to do a little bit more. Measure of angle RPQ is given by y, which is, in this case, just 50. So it did ask us to find the angle. This particular problem, though, the angle and the variable were the same value. All right, but we want to make sure that we label that answer correctly so that we are answering their question. All right, last and not least, example 3C on this one. It looks like we're pointing back to the same diagram, all right, because it's a continuation of that. So I'm going to clear off my diagram. It says PR bisects OPQ. So PR, this ray here, bisects the angle OPQ. So right there, I'm going to make my markings on the diagram, and I'm going to mark those two congruent angles. All right, because bisect implies that it cuts it equally in two pieces, so we have congruent angles coming out of that. It tells me LPO is 4K. So LPO in this diagram is this big angle here, all right, which I'm going to put with two tick marks, so we're clear it's not the same size as the other two angles we are just talking about. And then it tells me that RPQ is 2K plus 10. All right, and it asked me to find OPR, all right, not Oak Park River Forest, but OPR, the angle. And if I look at that, that's this angle here. And currently we have no expression with that, all right, but what we do know is it's congruent to QPR. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually carry that label over from the QPR, the 2K plus 10, and I'm going to drop it in this section. Now, some people would say set up the algebraic equation and just double it, and that's okay. I just think it's a lot easier to see visually if we just take that 2K plus 10 and drop it right in the other angle when we know that they're congruent. Because now we can lean on the things from the diagram that we can look at and kind of assume. So we have those three angles, and they clearly put together form a straight line. All right, that means that all three of those angles added together gives me a 180. So I'm going to set up an equation, 4k plus 2k plus 10 plus 2k plus 10 equals 180. That's going to be an 8k plus 20 equals 180 if I simplify. So 8k equals 160, and k is going to end up being 20 there. All right, so my k value is 20. Now I look back up to the question. It says find angle OPR. Now, frankly, this is a spot where you could probably just circle the actual physical angle OPR, and you did find it. All right, it really should have said find the M, the measure of angle OPR, because that's really what they're asking for, is what is the size of that angle, not where is that actual angle itself. And remember, without the M in front, it's the angle. With the M in front, it's the size of the angle. So OPR is, let's see here, that we had a label of 2k plus 10. And we plug our 20 in, so we get 2 times 20 plus 10. And that 10's not very easy to see, sorry. 2 times 20 is 40. 40 plus 10 is 50. So we are looking at 50 degrees for the measure of angle OPR. All right, so that should take you through enough problems to really make tonight's homework pretty easy. Hope that was helpful. These are tough questions in general, so definitely bring your questions to class tomorrow, and we'll get them answered. Thanks, bye.